Hey guys, I'm gonna get started, but I'm gonna say a few things, so there's time. There's plenty of time. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me open it for you. I want to get in the way. I'm just telling them. Okay. Watch out for the. Hi, Nicole. Hey. A lot of wonderful stuff today. Okay, where's my stuff? Good morning. Hey, everybody. I know you're eating your breakfast. Enjoy. Don't let me stop you. But I do have a couple of announcements, and I want to pray for us before we get started, too. So let me just go ahead and pray and thank God for this amazing breakfast. Dear God, thank you. Thank you that we can be here together today. Thank you for this moment, for the moms to enjoy a time together, a time of delicious food and community. And Lord, I just pray that we hear from you today and that you speak to our hearts and say what you need to say to each of us. In Jesus' name, amen. I think maybe a round of applause is in order for our breakfast. Thank you guys for bringing breakfast. Yay! And thank you last week and the week before too. I think I neglected to say that. I just love having, different food that I didn't make. So it's all good and it's fun. I do like to cook too, but a couple of announcements for you this morning. It is fall break for a lot of people next week, so we will not be here next Thursday. So if you come, you can just walk around inside the church because we're not going to be having Real Moms next week. And then if you have any other travels coming or anything, and you have a child in the children's program, just let Amy Webb know, because we're trying to make room for kids to come who are on fall break at preschool or school. It's just nice to know if somebody's not going to be here. So thank you for that. And I think she did hire at least one other person. So just let me know if you have a friend that you want to bring, or we were able to welcome people on our waiting list. So we're so excited about that. Another quick announcement. Today, after Real Moms, there's a staff meeting in this room at noon. And so just heads up, there might be people coming in to set up, and we probably should wrap it up on time today. But you're welcome to continue conversation in the lobby or at somewhere. But just so you know, there might be different people coming in that normally aren't here, just getting ready for our meeting. So, yeah. Okay, a couple of comments. Today we're wrapping up our series on community. And we've heard from Amy Christie about different kinds of community, why it's important, what the scripture says about community and friendship, and having people around you to do life together as the body of Christ was the scripture in your homework last week. You may or may not have had a chance to look at that, which is totally fine because it's on your handout again to talk about today. So that's what we've been talking about. And I know you've already had a lot of conversation about this, and you've shared some of your own experiences with the moms in your group. But I just want to say, too, everybody has a different need for community. And based on your personality, you might want something different than the person sitting next to you. And so I just think it's important to remember that we all need different kinds of friendships. And actually, how about this? A show of hands. How many of you are the kind of person that prefers to have just a couple of super close relationships, a couple of people around you, super close relationship? And how many of you prefer to have just lots of friends? Anybody prefer to have lots of friends? Both or both? Yeah, you can have both. How many of you, who has ever had a best friend at some point in your life, whether when you were a kid, an adult? Who has ever had a best friend where the relationship lasted more than a few years? A lot of you have. Awesome. And who has had a group of friends, like maybe more than one best friends, but you had a friend group that you would say, we're all best friends. Yeah, that might be the case too. Who has been in a small group, maybe with men and women, that has been really great community for you? That happens too. Who has a sister? Anybody have a sister? Who has a sister that you're really good friends with? Okay. Who doesn't have a sister and has never had a sister? Me. I've never had a sister. Who has family in town? Some do. Who has family just far away? Everyone's just far. Yeah. And how many of you have a mom that you were or are close to? Yeah, some of us do, some of us don't. Anybody else have other family members that you have a really close relationship with? Yeah. And how many of you have ever had a friend who's a different generation, either younger or older than you, an intergenerational close friendship? And how many of you are good at keeping in touch when someone moves away? Is anybody good at that? How many of you are really not good at that at all? Me, I'm not good at that at all when someone moves away. Or even if you don't see someone for whatever reason. And I wanted to point that out because somebody told this to me. Here's the backstory. Different personalities want different things in friendships, right? I'm the kind of personality that I'm just super independent. I just want to be on my own. And I had a lot to learn about friendship as an adult. I remember when I went to college, my roommate was a more distant relative. We sort of knew each other, but she wanted different things. And I remember, like, for example, one time I was going to work at 4:30 or something and said, hey, I got to go to the cafeteria and eat dinner early because I got to go to work. She's like, okay, I'm coming. And I'm like, what, you don't have to eat at 4:30? No, like she would not go anywhere without me. And for my personality, I was like, just leave me. I just want to do something by myself. Leave me alone. But there are lots of women who are, come on, I got to go to the bathroom. Let's go. I want somebody to come with me all the time. And so we have differences in personalities, right? And so I said I had to learn a lot about friendships and how to have a good friend and how to be a good friend. And today we are going to have a treat because we're going to hear about a couple of friendships, a couple of personal friendships. And at the end, we'll see. I can't wait to hear what their stories are. But I just want to encourage you to look around and hear some of the experiences of others because they're all different. They're all good and valued and different, but we all have different experiences with our friendships, right? So are you guys done? Are you done eating? If you're done eating or close, I'm going to invite them up. I'd like us to welcome Brooke and Kelsey. Come on up. And then as soon as they're ready, Patty and Brooke are coming up as well. They're chatting in the kitchen. Chatty friends. Oh, well, that's okay. Do you want to bring a drink? You can bring a drink if you like. Okay, so. Here she comes. So I'd like to introduce some of my dear friends. And they're friends with each other. I'm sorry. The steps are on the other side. And I just want to point out, too, every time we have a panel, it's just such a joy. I love hearing from other women about how they do things and how, I might walk away with a good idea or their experiences might not be anything like what you have experienced. So we just want to hear about them today. And thank you all so much for being willing to share a little bit of yourselves with us. And there might be hard things, there might be sad things, there might be really fun things. But thank you for being willing to share. I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves. And we have a couple of pictures to go along. So just, and there's another microphone as well. So I'm going to let you, maybe each pair can share a microphone. And then I might jump in and ask questions as well. So will you just start out and tell us about yourself, about who you are, what you do, and about your family.
That's me. I'm Brooke. Honored to be with the other Brooke. Yeah. I have lived around here for about 30 years. We were just talking. And I am married to Steve. I have 3 girls. A lot of estrogen growing up. One of my Christmas letters, if you ever send out Christmas letters, it said, "Greetings from the estrogen ocean," because that's how it was at that time, that many girls in my house. So, what did you want me to say? Okay. My youngest is 24. She teaches at Purdue Polytechnic High School, which I love to talk about Purdue Polytechnic High School. It's downtown on the east side, so if you want to know about that, we can chat about that. But she's this dear, sweet little girl in this environment, and she's loving it. So moms never stop praying, right? Never. You never stop praying for their circumstances. I have a 31-year-old who's a girl who's sort of independent and lives in Chicago right now, self-employed kind of. She just came off of a organic wine farm as a woofer. Do you know what woofing is? So she did 2 jobs for 4 weeks because she wanted to experience something new. So that's cool. And a 33-year-old who has 2 little boys. So I'm a grandma. And I spend a lot of my time, honestly, now my husband just retired, we spend an enormous amount of our time with our 3 aging parents and grandkids and the pantry and lots of loving things. It's a very sweet chapter right now for us to invest in the people around us.
I'm Patty. I'm married to Devon, and we have 3 kids. And my oldest is David. He is turning 38 and just got married this summer. I married him in my backyard. And with him came a lovely bride named Jamie and her 2 little girls named Lyric and Piper. So I am a grandmother for the first time, which is wonderful. And they've named me Gigi. Isn't that cute? So that's a wonderful chapter in my life. And then my next oldest is Kyle. He's single. He's 35. He's single. He's 35, and he lives in town.
I have 2 single daughters.
And he's a blast, because he's the only one around. David's in Lexington, Kentucky. And then Laura, my youngest, holy cow, she just turned 33. Oh. Anyway, she lives in Baltimore, Maryland. And so, but they come home all the time and we see them, and yeah, it's a wonderful place. I work here at Grace. Some of you know that, and I've worked here for 20 years. So going on 21 years. So I actually kind of grew up here. So anyway, okay, next.
Oh. Thank you, Patty. My name is Brooke, and I am not married, but I have 2 beautiful girls. Gia is going to be 11 next month, and Addie is 7, and they keep me entertained. I'll tell you a quick story really quick. Yesterday, I was in the shower and getting ready for the day, and Gia comes busting in my shower and says, "Mom, Addie is so rude. She just walked into my room while I was changing my pants and didn't even knock first." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Thanks for letting me know and not yelling at her." And then I just started laughing and I couldn't stop. And I said, "Hey, do you know what irony is?" She said, "No." So she got to learn all about it yesterday. But she thought it was funny when I explained how she did exactly what her sister did. And she went, anyway, and then Addie, she's just a pistol, and we love her. She is literally the definition of "you're lucky, you're cute." I think, and I work here at Grace. I'm the director of our children's ministry for kindergarten through 5th grade.
I'm Kelsey. My husband's name is Chris. We've been married for, 13 years now. We have 3 kids. Libby is going to be 11 at the end of the month. Charlie is 7, and Aram is 6. And we are in the deep of it, parenting wise. Let's see. I drive a school bus. I'm around little kids all the time. Yeah.
What time do you start your day?
Well, I get to the bus lot at 7 o'clock in the morning, so yeah. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here again. So we're here talking about community and friendship. So tell us, each pair of you, tell us how you met and about your friendship. Tell us a little bit about maybe how you met, maybe how things are now. Just a general, we're friends this way and because.
Okay. Kelsey actually worked here at Grace too, once upon a time. And so we met when I interviewed for a job and didn't get it. Patty didn't pick me. I'm just kidding. And then Patty told me to apply for another job, and I got that one. She did hire me. So we were on the same team, and that's how we became friends. And one night, Kelsey was going with women from her life group, 2 of them are here in the room, to meet at Dillon Park for a concert in the park, and she invited me and the girls to go with, and it was a fun night. Do you want to tell them what happened? I'm just kidding.
I lost her oldest, who, by the way, was like well, I don't.
She has anxiety.
Oh,
so.
yeah. And I lost her. She was in the crowd.
She wandered off. You didn't lose her.
But I showed back up without her and didn't know it.
And Kelsey always tells people, and we're still friends.
How would I describe our friendship? We're super close now. I think, like I told Brooke this, in the interview, if somebody would have told me, you and Brooke are going to end up being really good friends, I probably would have been like, I'm not really feeling that, just because, well, there's an age difference, but our personalities are very different as well, and that's all I knew of her was how she was interviewing. But over the years, even though we're so different, we mesh really well, and our differences actually make our relationship stronger. But although we have a really close friendship, it's almost like our kids are like cousins. It's just family. And our husbands are close now too. So what started out as just us getting to know each other, our families really care about each other's families as well.
I first saw Patty at the swimming pool, and she had this long, gorgeous curly hair. She was just adorable. And long curly hair at the time. This is later, and this is like midway through 2000. And one of us is older than the other, but we won't tell that. Yeah. But I watched how she talked to people at the swimming pool. And I was new, and 2 kids, and sort of just couldn't believe I was where I was, honestly. We had just moved here, and I just watched how she talked to people, and she was so kind, and her youngest was my oldest, same age. So sometimes you have something that bonds you together or a reason to say hi. But I remember going to say hi because she was very friendly and seemed to know people there.
Obviously, I have the same story. We met at the pool, and I've said this to Brooke so many times. One of the things, as we were talking, Brooke said to me, not where do you go to church, but where do you worship? And I thought, that's interesting. I bet she's a Christian, just because of the way she phrased that term. And so I have to be honest, it was easy. Brooke, if you know Brooke, she's a people lover, and she's so fun to be around. And so it was just kind of a natural, easy connection, and we had the, girls in common. So we've been friends for almost 30 years, and we are still good friends. It doesn't look like it did when we had little kids because I work full-time, and you just heard she's busy with grandparents and, not grandparents, her parents and grandkids. I'm busy with work and a 97-year-old mom and my own family as well. But we're still very, very close. And I think the cool thing for us is if we go a while and don't see each other, and we'll say, hey, let's go for a walk or let's do this, and she'll say, okay, you go first. And so I'll be able to kind of ramble about what's going on, and then she'll talk. And I'll have to say, there are a lot of friends you'll have in your life that it's a lot of maybe you pouring into them, and maybe you're not getting out of that relationship what you're putting into it. when you have a relationship where you give and where that person gives to you, it is golden. And that's what Brooke has been to me, a friend that has spoken into my life as I have spoken into her life. So I didn't have a lot of friends like that, because, and Brooke would probably say the same thing because she's a giver. Anyway, okay, you go.
Yeah, next question.
I know. I'm just going to keep asking for the microphone. Tell us. Okay, so you've all been friends and you're close with each other. But how did that come to be? Like, did you ever have a moment when you recognized we're going to be great friends, or did you ever have a conversation about that? Like, how did it come to be that you knew you were going to be great friends? Like, you started doing things together, and was it always the same? Like you said, or maybe there have been seasons of friendships, of your friendship. But tell us how you got to be the friends you are today.
So we were friends within a group of friends, but we live a half a mile away from each other. So convenience was really a driving force of why we were spending a little bit more time together than maybe with other people in the group. When I went through my separation and divorce, Kelsey and Chris really stepped in and supported. They took my kids if I had a hard time figuring out how to balance being a single mom and work weekends and provide for my kids. So they started showing up. If Gia had, I've learned how to do a lot of things in the last couple of years, but like my garbage disposal broke, Chris came right over and fixed it. And, there were lots of times where, a bike tire would, need a new something, and Chris would show up and he would take care of it. Like if I told Kelsey she's come over to my house and mowed my lawn. And that was recently, and she didn't know it was self-propelled, so she pushed a lot harder than she had to. So it really was the best gift that she's ever given me, because we giggle about it all the time. I was like, what do you think? It was brand new. I was like, how did you like that self-propelled? She goes, what do you mean? I was pushing that thing up a hill. And it was like 100 degrees outside. Anyway, she just was showing up over and over again. And I like to hope that I was doing the same thing for her as, being a mom to 3 young kids. Chris traveled or worked out of town a lot. But I think I really knew when we had hit a rough spot in our friendship. And it was from November of 2019 to the summer of 2020, there were several months where Kelsey was trying to speak truth and love to me about some things that I was struggling with, things that I'd held on to from my divorce and anger and stuff, and it was starting to spill over into other areas and other relationships in my life, and it affected our relationship a lot. And one day she just called me out on it, which I deserved, but we didn't talk for a little bit after that. Things were hard. And I had to really ask myself, and I'll let her share her perspective, but I know Kelsey, she's non-confrontational. She doesn't want to stir the pot. So when she does speak up, it's because it's important to her. And then I also knew that she loved me and she cared about me. So if she was willing to speak up because she loved me, then I had to make a choice, either be my typical 6, who when you cross a 6, they're like, see ya, or I could be quiet and listen to her heart and what she was saying and see what God was trying to tell me through her. So you can tell from your perspective if you want. It was all my fault. No.
No, I think especially women, we have this idea of what friendship is going to look like. And social media is just a really hard thing to be on and to see, because everybody presents the very best part of everything. But friendships, like marriage or any other relationships, are hard. And there's, you always have a choice and when you're a part of a relationship or a community, how are you going to respond to somebody? And I really do believe that the instance that she was talking about really defined where our relationship was going to go. But I don't know. I looking back, I can see God working in the midst of all of it. I knew I was going to have to confront her, and I remember thinking, like, sitting there like, oh dear God, like, this is going to happen, because I could feel God, like, just in my heart telling me, this, you have to do this. And it was really hard for me because I loved her so much, and I knew I knew she was going to take it the wrong way, just the state of mind that she was in. But I knew it had to happen, and there were other people around in that moment. But for some reason, I knew God was using me, because the way that she was going to take it from me was going to be a lot better than from somebody else. And, at the end of that, I worried, I wondered, and I remember like praying, like, God, this doesn't just affect Brooke and I's relationship, it also affects our children's relationship. And will they be able to stay friends through this if we can't move past it? And, it was a real growing experience for me, because when there's hard times, when there's confrontation within relationships, we want to be able to say, like, it's your fault. Who wants to take the blame, and who wants to say, well, there's something that I need to work on? And it's easy and it's comfortable to play the victim. Like, we're not friends anymore because of you. And until you change, then, I'm just going to be here waiting. So if you don't change, then, we're not going to have a relationship. But I remember really digging deep and saying, God, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to work on to love Brooke through this? And it really changed the dynamic of our friendship in the best way, because working through that really hard time, I knew no matter what happens in the future, because there's going to be more tough times. We've had them since then. But we know now that we are in this for the long run. Like, I love her dearly, and I know that she would fight for me as well. So we're going to walk through the hard times together out of love, and knowing that no matter what happens, it's because we care so deeply about each other, and not just our relationship, but our family's relationship as well. And it's just been this really beautiful thing, to see how our friendship has blossomed in the midst of like the group of friends that we have, because everybody in the group knew about what was happening, but it was really God blessing Brooke and I and making us realize, like, this, no, and I don't mean this in a bad way, because there are women here from our group, but like, no matter what happens in the future in our larger group of friends, Brooke and I's relationship is, it's going to be there forever.
Okay, Patty and I'll lighten up the room a minute.
Yeah.
With some Lucy and Ethel stories. I want to say thank you for sharing that, though, because any relationship you have, even in a community of group of people, you're going to go through some real highs and some real lows. And I think one of the keys is stepping into the lows. So I have a fun low story to share with you. My father turned into a radical vegetarian, and he's a real he's a grouchy son of a gun, really, to be honest. But for some reason, he has this big spot in his heart for Patty, because one time she made him a pot of soup. And I cook for my dad about 3 times a week still. I love him so much. I've learned to love him more, too, And this is a sidebar, but I think one of the reasons is I forgave him in my heart of my issues in life growing up, because I know he was trying the absolute very best he could. And it wasn't that great. But at that time, when I look back now, what was it? It was in that Yes book that we're reading, where she says, you take a balcony view and look down. And I realize, you know what? He worked all those hours because he loved me so much. He wanted me to have a better life than he had. And so instead of me being angry that he never came to anything I ever had, not one event of my life, I realized he loved me deeply by what he was doing. So she made him a pot of soup. I make that same soup every Christmas Eve. But he doesn't rave about it. Only the pot of soup that Patty made me. So it touches me deeply, though. You know, when you love people, you're in the highs and you're in the lows. And we've had highs and lows, even with our kids, too. And now they're beautiful adults that love each other. Linda and I share that bond, too. We have kids born on the same day, but in different continents. Did I say that right? Didn't say continents, or, yeah. Okay. Her son was born in Japan, and my daughter was born here, and we became friends through them and had birthday parties. And you have seasons in your life where things might be closer and more active, but it is a gift when you can get together with somebody later in life and catch up where you left off. That takes time.
It does take time. And, you know, when you think we've been friends for going on 30 years, and you talk about the ebb and flow of a long-term relationship, it isn't always going to look like it did in certain seasons. It doesn't mean that you don't love that person anymore or that you aren't as close. It just means that maybe you're not going to be with them all the time. And I think, you know, I was telling Brooke, I think one of the hard things for me that I had to learn was letting go and realizing that your friendship is going to change. And it doesn't mean that you're being rejected or that your friendship is ending. It just means that maybe it's a different busy season for that person. And for Brooke and I think for me, looking back, in the middle of it, I think I wanted to hang on to what it was when our kids were little and I was a stay-at-home mom and I had lots of time. And so for me, I really had to learn to say, you're still friends, but it looks different in this season. Also, depending on who you're really good friends with, Brooke is a fabulous people person who loves well. I have to share her with lots of people. And so that's an important thing to know, to allow your friendships to be the people they need to be and to fan that flame and not put it out.
How would your kids describe your friendship? And tell us how would your kids describe it? And tell us what they get out of your friendship.
They'd say it's Lucy and Ethel. Oh my gosh, what are you going to do to embarrass us now? We have this hysterical story of, so Patty, my firstborn was very shy, and her third had 2 older boys in her life. So her daughter brought out so many good things in my daughter, helping her get out of her patent leather shoes and her mermaid dress. And one of the things they did was join a baseball team together. My kid cried and cried. Finally, Patty just took the bull by the horns and said, "You're not going. I'm going to take her. If you're not there, she won't cry." And we have a picture. It's classic. That's the picture I should have brought. And it's my oldest sitting at the baseball pitcher. So if the team's facing this way, she's sitting this way, and she's crying in the picture. But we love that picture now because she did it, and she played, and she did play. By the end, she was playing ball. But we went to I'm just going to tell it because it's so funny. We went to the party at some coach's house, and we were in the kitchen, and we pulled on the faucet thing. You know, we joked that we grew up on the south side of Carmel. We didn't know what cool was. And we pulled on this. How does this work? And the next thing we know, we had pulled the head off the faucet, and the thing is going like this in their kitchen. And we laughed so hard, we just ran out of the room. And someone else I'm like, we need to get out of this place. So, luckily they were from the First Baptist Church League. They were really, really nice. They didn't judge us. Yeah. What was the question again? Oh, our kids are like, oh my gosh. Let me say this. I got to recently spend time at the wedding with their youngest, Laura, and listening to the stories she had about growing up, like what you guys are doing now. She was recalling birthday parties where my husband dressed up as a warrior, ninja warrior, something, and played with the kids, and it just, you get it. It was so heartwarming. Lily and Laura had ebbs and flows in their relationship too. I mean, there was one time we couldn't go on the vacation we were supposed to go on. It was my choice because I said, nope, if you can't behave, we're not going to go. And, you know, we ended up having to drive to where the Frumkes were because then she felt so bad. But now that balcony view is amazing to look down and see, and just so grateful that I got to grow up around people who spoke truth. We had times where Patty spoke some truth to me I'll never forget, and it wasn't easy. But this is friendship, but I want to emphasize the whole community thing too, because we worked in our neighborhood, had Bible studies, had moms groups. I mean, there was a lot of stuff, but the people I've met who've touched my life are just amazing. Usually older too, like you.
I just have to agree with Brooke about my daughter at the wedding. It was really fun as she would introduce Brooke and Steve, and the way she described the friendship as she saw it through her own eyes. And, they've been there. I think, little things like what Kelsey said, or what Miss Brookie said, Kelsey came and mowed my grass. When I was planning the wedding, I don't know what I was thinking, because I planned it in about 3 weeks with my mother, who was living in my upstairs. Anyway, long story short, a wedding that was supposed to be 12 people turned into 37. My house isn't that big. And so Brooke and another friend came over to lend me everything out of their kitchen. And I am so glad, because Brooke said, Patty, you let us serve. Let us serve at your wedding. I'm like, hard for me to accept help. And so finally I said yes. When she did, I'm like, I would have lost my mind if she hadn't showed up and done that. And I mean, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And so what a gift. What a gift. So you do as much in your relationships, the heartwarming things you give, not just in your friendship, but in doing those little things. A card that's unexpected. A meal when they know you need it. Another thing that Brooke did for me, again, we'd come over to go for a walk. I was a basket case. My mom had been living with us. It was really hard. I was halfway falling apart. And the next thing I know, Brooke said, hey, I have a medical massage therapist. Let me do this for you. So she's been a great friend.
So we asked our kids last night what they thought of our relationship, and her daughter Addie, who's 7, literally looked at us and goes, huh? And so we're like, okay, maybe we should ask the older girls. And so when they came in, oh gosh, well, anyway, these two together are insane. I mean, my daughter says, I'm like, why do you like being friends with Gia? I asked her this a while ago, and she was like, she just gets my weirdness. And I was like, there is a whole lot of weirdness going on between the two of them. They're just in that really awkward preteen stage where as parents, we have no idea what's going on, but somehow they communicate, and life is great for them. I don't remember what they said. Gia said it was honest. Oh yeah. Gia said it was honest, and whatever Libby said, she didn't realize what the word meant, and it did not fit. She just tried to throw a word out there. But I, as a mom, I look forward to years down the road when I can look back and just remember all of these crazy times that our kids have together. Because our kids do spend a lot of time together, and when you have multiple kids, they either really get along or they're at each other's throats, and our kids can be at each other's throats a lot. So we kind of tag team the parenting thing. When I've lost my patience, Brooke comes in with all kinds of ideas, and vice versa. But one of the things that I love about this stage that we're in is my husband is a jokester. He likes to be the life of the party, always has something really witty to say. And poor Gia receives the end of his sarcasm and wit constantly. And here is this really sweet, kind of awkward. She can be a little bit timid girl, and my husband just teases her relentlessly, but it's so out of love, and she knows that. And we laugh hysterically because, he's being honest, and it's really, really funny, and she laughs. And, I can't wait to hear her perspective on it when she's a little bit older and she thinks back like, oh, yeah, you did all of those things to me. But like how the dads in the group treat the kids too is a really beautiful thing. Because I don't always think that dads open up to other people's kids, but in our group of, even in our large group of friends, the dads are just the dads to all of them, and it's really kind of cool to see.
Aaron swears that Tony is going to take him to
Oh, yeah.
karate or something. Like,
Yeah.
they're karate buddies. We have no idea why. They've never done karate together, but he calls Tony his karate buddy.
Yeah.
But here, I'll say one thing that I really appreciate about our kids being close is that my kids, we don't have family here. My kids don't have cousins that are young to grow up with. And life after divorce sometimes also means that we don't have traditional family celebrations for holidays or birthdays and whatnot. So our closeness has provided family for my girls in ways that they normally wouldn't have. We get invited to Easter and we do birthdays. Libby and Gia have joint birthday parties because they're like 3 weeks apart, and it's something they look forward to every year. And we go on family vacations together. We're going to Gary, Indiana this next week, and we're super excited about it. Yeah. So, but yeah, and like she trusts me enough with her kids and vice versa that, if anything were to happen, like I know she would just be right there and my girls would be okay. And that just provides me with so much peace. And Gia is super awkward, and the thing I value most about she wears glasses like down on the tip of her nose, so she can't see things right in front of her face. And that's why Chris will be like, "You're wearing glasses. Do those things work?" And he'll tease her because it's right in front of her face. And maybe push them up. Don't wear them on the tip of your nose. But she has high anxiety, and she has trouble managing her emotions. Sometimes I have no idea where she gets it. And Libby is so gentle with her and so loving, and we didn't have to coach her through that. That's a natural gifting that Libby has. And so when Gia's anxiety are high, she knows she can call Libby, and Libby will help talk her through it. Or if Libby's standing right there witnessing it, she knows how to talk Gia down, which as a mom, that takes so much pressure off of me to figure out how to help my child, who I struggle with trying to figure out how to help sometimes, because I relate so much to what she's going through, and I'm not looking at it from Libby's perspective. So,
Thank you. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'll just ask each of you, what else do you want to share with us? Advice about friendship, or how God has been a big part of your friendship? Just tell us what else we need to know before we're done.
Okay, I'll go quickly. The one thing I kept thinking about is loving people who are different than you. And in our group of friends that I like to say grow up together, I'm going to tell a Linda story. We have one that is probably like a real tight one. I got to tell the funny part about the story. Growing up in my house, it was chaos. It was just chaos. My mother, I'd send her a photograph because she didn't live around here. And I remember one time she said, "Your house always looks a mess." And I thought, can't she see we're having fun? But that's what she saw. It was just crazy. And I loved it that way. And our friend Linda has everything in order. And one time they came to our house, and I was preheating the oven for something and forgot to open the door first. And there were chicken nuggets in there that had fallen off. And my, very particular friend is there looking like this. And of course, we're laughing. One other time, I'm not exaggerating, her husband was outside with my husband, and he opened up the grill, and there were 2 burgers there. And we're not that crazy. We were just in that stage of life. And those burgers were from, a couple days ago. So here's the part about it, though. God really told me, Linda has a lot to help you with, but you got to get over you not feeling like you can ask her. And there came a point in my life where do you remember I decided I had to go through my basement? And it was so humbling. She is an organizer, and she's awesome at it. I had to embrace what she was good at, what I could use her help on. And long story short, now she could have been the Marie Kondo. And she helped me do even things like a linen closet that just meant that much to me to have my towels all folded one way. And I would show her the before and after, and she'd praise me and encourage me. And we are great friends, but we are very different. We have different strengths. And the three of us have had to speak into each other's lives. And it's a blessing, but it's not always easy. But I love her so much, and I used to be so intimidated by her.
I think that's a really good point because the three of us have been very good friends. We do a birthday thing every year. We've gone on trips together. And I think in your friendships, give people a chance. Maybe you don't click right away. Maybe your neighbor moves in and she rubs you the wrong way. Give that person a chance and love them well, because the more you really love someone and accept them, the more they blossom and the more you can appreciate who that person is. I mean, we're all made in the image of God, and so there are giftings in everyone. That part of a friendship is you helping to not just speak into the hard places of their life, but call out those giftings. Be that person to say, you can do this, and I see this in you. And I think in that way, I will have to say one thing about, and I know we're short on time, Brooke and I, through the years, I have been amazed at the character of God that has developed in Brooke. I've watched her grow spiritually. I've watched her giftings blossom as she serves other people and loves them so well. And her relationship with the Lord from the time we were very young together, and I look at her now, what a wise, godly woman she has become. And so what a privilege in my relationship, not only to enjoy our friendship, but to admire the person that Brooke is and that she continues to be, and an example to me as well. So I am so grateful for the long haul that we've had with ups and downs. It's worth hanging in there, guys.
I would say pay attention to what God is doing around you. When we lived here for 4 years and I hadn't really made a lot of friends, we socialized with neighbors and we belonged to church, and we had friendships, but not the ones that I have within our group. So when I got invited by Kelsey to go out with everybody, I was given the opportunity to have lots of relationships that all mean so much to me and create value. And I have lots of women in my life who love my kids and who help me be a better mom and who encourage me and support me. If it weren't for them, I don't know that Tony and I would be divorced and still have the strong relationship that we do and choose to co-parent our kids and be a family, one family with two households. We choose to do things counterculturally because our friends encouraged us to do that. By the way, they chose to love all of us through a difficult time. But I didn't go into it expecting anything. I went into it just grateful for somebody to get me out of the house with my kids, and my kids to have other people to play with. But God knew the desires of my heart, and he's faithful, and he will show up in surprising ways. So I would just encourage you, if you're having a hard time finding those relationships, to maybe stop looking where you think they're going to be and just turn it over to the Lord and trust that he knows the desires of your heart, and he wants nothing more than for you to have a relationship that is going to draw you closer to him than you do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what everybody has said, but one thing I think is really important in hearing from so many women recently that desperately want community, get the picture of what you want it to look like out of your head. And yes, trust God, give it over to God. But at the same time, sometimes we want to be approached. We want somebody to reach out to us. We want to have somebody ask us. But sometimes if we stop thinking well, that's not happening, and being frustrated with that, listen, pay attention to what the women around you are saying, or the people that you're coming into contact with, because there may be somebody out there who you can give something to them, and then that can start a really amazing relationship. Because if the same thing isn't working continuously, then that's probably just God saying, like, you're not learning, you're not hearing me. Let's try something different. And it could be a woman that's at your table right now. It could be somebody that you already know. It could be a neighbor. It could just be somebody that you think, well, they're not good enough, or they're not what I have in my head of who I want to be friends with. You just never know. So I always encourage women, like, find people that you maybe can pour into for a little bit, or you can offer them something, and then down the road, they're going to pour into you even more.
You guys are so wise. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and your heart for friends and for what God has for community. And we did talk about that. He has community for us, and he wants us to be in relationship. And I know we talked about different ways to find that relationship. And you're here. So this might be one of the ways. You might have your lifelong bestie right here. You might not, but you can absolutely pray about it. And you know what else? You can pray specifically. Pray for amazing neighbors. Pray for your kids' friendships. And a lot of times, I think in both of your situations and also mine, a lot of my greatest mom friends the relationship came about because our kids were friends. So when my kids were little, I was here at Real Moms too, and we had a great core group of moms, 7 or 8, who came, 10 years, a really long time together. But then you know what? Everybody kind of did their own thing, and they were all at different schools and in different towns, and we're still friends and we still care for each other. But like you said, things change and we don't spend as much time together. But then my friends made friends at school, and we now have a lot of friendships that are not here at church. But it's really cool to see how that can be a really good thing too. And I'll just give you a great example. I just got a text yesterday from a mom group, a mom friend, it grew to 8 or 9 or 10 girls at my oldest daughter's age. This mom invited us over in second grade. Callie's now 16. When she was in second grade, the mom said, hey, my daughter wants to have a little Christmas gift exchange with some friends. And so she invited a group of 7 or 8 girls over and the moms. And that's how that started. The girls met in the basement. They brought their little gifts and drew names or whatever, and they had their time. And the moms were upstairs having, breakfast or whatever it was at the time together, getting to know each other. And those relationships are so, so important, because pretty soon carpools came along. And, okay, who's in show choir? Okay, who, they're practicing every day. You drive this day, you drive this day. And we knew them and we could trust them. And even though we only saw each other once every couple of months, it was intentional. We had good conversations. When things fell apart and there was a fight between, 3 of the girls, the moms are, oh my goodness. The moms are all texting. What did you hear? Because this is what I heard. And da-da-da-da. And if you don't have that base relationship, then you don't know how to even text somebody that. So that has been a true gift. And you know what? The text that I got yesterday was, who wants to do a Bible study? And we have never done that before as a group of friends. And some of them go to church. Some of them have a great relationship with the Lord, and some do not. And so that's going to be interesting, an interesting next step. Those moms at the soccer game, you can sign up to do sports with a friend. I know you guys do that. Or you can meet someone there. And it's sitting there at the practice and sitting there at the games. Talk to those moms. It's really tempting to just look at your phone the whole time. Or sometimes I'm taking a walk all by myself because, sometimes I just want to. But if you open your eyes and look around, there's absolutely opportunity for a relationship. And there might be somebody who God put there for you to talk to. And it's so great when you find that. And absolutely, the things that you like. The place where you work out. I have amazing friendships at the place where I work out. That's the only place I see those women. But I love seeing them early in the morning, and we're doing life together just because we're exercising together. Callie, my oldest, is so funny. I did lots of fun things. I was a stay-at-home mom that didn't stay at home. And so we went lots of places. And she asked me the other day, Mom, who was in that baby swimming class with me? And they're now, this 17-year-old boy. And she's like, what? I knew that we swam together when we were babies or whatever. There's so many opportunities to meet people. And here, of course, church, this is the body of Christ. And that's what they're talking about, bringing out the gifts in each other, because that's how God designed relationships. So if you need any ideas about how to connect with people here at church, or just other things that I've experienced over the years, or that any of these ladies have experienced, please come and ask. Would you guys mind staying here for a minute? I'm going to let them get to their groups, but I know we have lots of wisdom to offer up here. So can we just thank them all? So thank you, friends, for sharing. Enjoy your small group time.